folks, how you doing? This is Wayne S. Pierce for the American Liberty Radio Network. AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com is the website if you're not already there. So how are you? Are you doing good? It's the 8th of August, 2017. Yeah. Lots and lots and lots of things going on. Okay? We seem to think that people have the right, brain cells operating for the right reasons, right? We seem to think that. Well, Google doesn't. The truth about Google diversity memo. Conservatives ruthlessly purged for daring to have a different opinion. Paul Joseph Watson, Infowars.com. The left is at war with reality. They hunted down and publicly shamed and fired a Google engineer for stating the scientific fact that men are different than women. Google controls reality. They are the ministry of truth. Given this rampant thought policing, what else is Google censoring on its search engine and on YouTube? Okay. This is going up on American Liberty Radio podcast. Lots to talk about today, so hopefully I can get through my hopefully I can get through the opinions that I have of this, and so I just think that lots of things are happening. I know lots of things are happening. And what we have to remember here is we can make it all stop. We can make all of it stop. Such as Trump vows North Korea threats, quote, will be met with fire and fury, unquote. Donald Trump responds to threats from Kim Jong-un, that little fat bastard over there in North Korea. But yeah, that's going up. There's video, so that's going up on American Liberty Radio podcast. I want to make sure that you all know where I stand. And that is why American Liberty Radio Network is here, for everyone to understand what is going on. And every so often I tell you where I stand and what I believe. And I believe that we need to close the damn borders. We need to put militia, National Guard, and military on, or active military on the borders. We need to put the Navy and all that on the coasts. And we need to tell other countries, you want to mess with us? I suggest you don't. And just tell them no more immigrants at all. I don't care. No more. No more. Because the United States of America is not a melting pot. The pot is melted and now we're just destroying ourselves with multiculturalism. And if you don't believe that, look around. Specifically in California, John Rappaport is reporting there is no guarantee that the California voting system is safe or effective or honest. California vote scandal blows up. The watchdog group Judicial Watch is threatening to file a lawsuit if the state government of California doesn't clean up its vast voting mess. What mess? Judicial Watch, quote, public records obtained show 11 California counties have more registered voters than voting age citizens, unquote. Stop right there for a minute. California is corrupt. California is totally gone. California is now a communist nation state. I say that with air quotes around it because Governor Brown wants to be a dictator, and that's just the way it is, and he's doing everything he can to separate himself and that state from the rest of the union. What? There's more. Quote, Los Angeles County officials informed us, Judicial Watch, that the total number of registered voters in the county now stands at a number that is whopping 144% of the total number of resident citizens of voting age. Unquote. Far more registered voters than the total number of people who are of voting age. That doesn't work. That's fraud. That's going up on American Liberty Radio podcast. Heavy sigh. That's on American Liberty Radio podcast. James Comey's back in the news. Owen Schroyer over at Infowars.com. Was Comey helping Lynch and Clinton cover up illegal activity? I myself personally would say yes. Comey caught in lie regarding Loretta Lynch emails. Department of Justice has released a chain of emails regarding Loretta Lynch meeting Bill Clinton on a tarmac, a series of emails that James Comey said did not exist. Just putting it out there, folks. Just putting it out there for you folks to assess, draw your own conclusion on it, and you will see the truth. Just putting it out there, folks. Here's the big bombshell exclusive from Infowars.com. Intelligence agency caught McMaster's briefing Soros on White House takeover. McMaster's leaking intel to Soros almost daily, says high-level Israeli intelligence. Kit Daniels is reporting on that. I'm just going to leave that right there, and I'm going to put that on. I don't have any opinion of it. I'm not going to read any of it. I would like you to read it and assess it and draw your own conclusion on it. American Liberty Radio. American Liberty Radio podcast on Facebook. Yeah. Lots going on, folks. Lots going on. Email evidence. New York Times soliciting anti-Trump government leakers. This could lead to criminal prosecution of the Times. In other words, the New York Times is saying, hey, if you've got, stuff that we can use and manufacture and lie about and make everybody think that it's truth against President Trump, send it to us. That's what it's doing. So New York Times is now in the crapper. Don't even bother lining your bird cage with it because it's not worth it. Your bird would poop on it immediately. That's just the way it is. And here's something that I want to talk about for a little bit. Royal Dutch Airlines. Oh, my God. Kit Daniels is reporting on this for Infowars.com. Dutch Airlines pro-gay tweet backfires. Tweet reveals top-down conspiracy of social control. The Royal Dutch Airlines tried to use seatbelts for a pro-LGBT message, but as 4chan noticed, only the heterosexual buckles fastened together correctly. There's a picture of seatbelts for the plane. The tweet shows 3 belts, with the top representing a lesbian couple, the middle a gay couple, and the bottom a heterosexual couple. But 4chan Anons noted the top 2 belts won't fasten at all. I'm just going to leave that right there. I don't have any opinion on that at the moment. But I'm going to put this on American Liberty Radio podcast. Let you assess the article yourself, draw your own conclusion, and go from there. Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General. Fox News is reporting this. Sessions, Sanctuary City, Chicago's hostility to law enforcement protection outstanding. AG blasts lawless Chicago officials. Attorney General Jeff Sessions fires back Monday at a lawsuit filed by the city of Chicago over the Justice Department's threat to withhold federal money from so-called sanctuary cities, saying, quote, unquote, no amount of money will help a city that won't help its own residents. I'm just going to post that on American Liberty Radio Podcast. So let me get this straight, folks. All this crap is going down. The mainstream propaganda media is not telling you everything there is to know about this. All right? And people seem to think that, well, if they just call their congressman and you know, do all that, if they, you know, protest or what, you can protest till the cows come home, folks. If nothing gets done, it's still going to be the same old tomorrow and next week and next year. Doesn't matter. If you don't actively get up and go do something in defense of this nation, of the United States, we're going to have the same old crap next year. And it's probably going to be a lot worse. We know what is going on. Excuse me. There is no doubt at all that we know what is going to happen. No doubt. But where does that leave you as an American citizen? Where does that leave you behind enemy lines? Okay? When you go to California, and California, like I said, is now a communist nation, it is just, it's pointless to even live there anymore. I know certain people that live there. My family lives there still. Y'all need to get out of California. Y'all need to just pack your stuff and get out of California, because there's the politics, the politicians in Washington, D.C., that too, they affect California as well. The politicians in Sacramento are really screwing your life up. And they're going to continue to do so until you are completely wiped out. And the people that side with them, they think they're going to get cushy jobs, and they're not. They're going to get used and thrown away just like everybody else. And by the way, they're going to start, there are some companies that I've also read about are going to start using robots. They're going to start using robots. So where does that leave you folks who are working your tails off to try to take care of your family? So my big question to you in California is this: why are you still living there? Why are you still living there? And why aren't you doing anything to protect your state? Well, I know why. California is the biggest liberal state in the union. And they're fighting like hell to try to separate themselves from the rest of the country. They're doing everything they can to secede from the country. What they don't understand is that they're going to have their own army. They're going to have their own government. They're going to have their own way of collecting taxes. They're going to have their own. They cut themselves off from, the gravy train of Washington, D.C. That's it. They're done. They may be like Iceland, but hell, California likes those corrupt bankers. They'll go along just fine. Steve Watson, the brother of Paul Joseph Watson, contributor to InfoWars, 8 of August 2017. MSNBC, fake media pushes Pence betrayal angle to sow more chaos. Quote unquote, Trump should be on 24-hour suicide watch. MSN Morning Joe continued its relentless opposition campaign against the president Tuesday, declaring that the latest approval polls indicate that Trump should be placed on 24-hour suicide watch. A poll touted yesterday by CNN which Trump calls fake news, indicates the president's job approval is at 38%, down 6% in the past 4 months. The poll also noted that disapproval of Trump stands at 56%, while fewer than 1 in 4 said they trust information coming from the White House. The Morning Joe panel revealed the numbers. So that's going on American Liberty Radio now, our American Liberty Radio podcast. So I do not know, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. If I don't know something, I'll tell you I don't know. I don't know why these politicians seem to think that all they have to do is show up and not do anything. You know, you might be saying, well, they do a lot. You know, they're in there, they're trying to get things done, and they're negotiating, and they're, you know, in committees and blah, 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 and they're trying to get things done, and, you know, yeah. You tell me what company spends half a year, because that's on average, that's about what they work, a half a year. You tell me any company working a half a year can get as much done as they want done within that 6-month period of time. Tell me what company can do that. And tell me what company has tried to do that but put themselves in severe debt. Because that's what's happening. The more that those congressmen go to Washington, D.C., the more money they are going to spend in trying to get their way, trying to get things done their way. And it basically boils down to this. We don't need that many politicians in Washington, D.C. We don't. And that's just the way it is. Well, who's going to run the country? We are. We the people. I think in each state, and I know this for a fact, I just don't think it, but in each state they have 3 branches of government. You know what they are. And we have people that run the government, the government of the state. We have a governor, we have a lieutenant governor. You know, so we have the same thing as Washington, D.C. We just don't have it on a grander scale as Washington, D.C. So basically, every single state needs to not secede from the rest of the nation, but push Washington, D.C. off into the Atlantic. Repeal the Act of 1871. That's it. Turn that big giant house into a museum and just go from there. Why not? Folks, I'm going to go to break. Let's see here. I got to find one. And, yeah. I'll be back right after this. American Liberty Radio.weebly.com. AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com.
Late Night in the Midlands is an alternative media that covers the truth, theory, and fact that the lamestream media won't talk about. We cover everything from the known and the unknown, the normal and the paranormal, the government lies and the government ties, and even their thrive. We tell what's coming, what's going, whether it be politics or archaeologists. We have an amazing fan base, and our shows are all archived to be heard millions of times more. So tell your friends, your family, and anybody you care about LateNightInTheMidlands.com. Become a member and be informed.
Growing up terrestrial radio, the future is here. Destroying the liberal media, one truth bomb at a time. Independent media is shattering the liberal national security media into a million pieces. Their views of the world are based on the script the government gives them. Independent media seeks out and finds the truth and reports on what is truly going on behind the scenes. Support the truth and facts. Support independent media. Hey folks, welcome back. This is American Liberty Radio Network right here on Spreaker.com and also on AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. How are you? This is, Chris Menahan, InformationLiberation.com. Google fires Diversity Manifesto author James Damore for wrong think. I guess Google needs to keep up the left wing's ideological reign of terror. Google has fired the brilliant anti-diversity manifesto author James Damore for, quote, perpetuating gender stereotypes, unquote. Quote, the Google employee behind the 10-page Viewpoint Diversity Manifesto that went viral online has been fired. James Damore, whose manifesto criticizing the politically corrupt culture at Google prompted outrage that left-wing employees and social justice warriors online, revealed that he had been fired in an email to Breitbart Tech on Monday evening. In his email to Breitbart Tech, Damore claimed, quote, they just fired me for perpetuating gender stereotypes, unquote. Damore's writing has revealed a divided Google in which some employees agree with his outlook but are afraid to speak out for fear of repercussions from social justice warriors in the company, such as being added to blacklists. In a memo sent to employees, Google CEO Sundar Pichai, reportedly claimed that Damore had violated their code of conduct. I'm wondering, folks. But I'll tell you what I'm wondering here in a minute. Excuse me. The author here. The author, Chris Menahan, says, as I noted earlier, Google had no response to his thoroughly detailed arguments other than to proclaim diversity is an unqualified good. They're all for inclusion and diversity unless it involves including different viewpoints which counter their bullcrap narratives. So there you go. This is going on American Liberty Radio podcast for all to see. If you're going to be diverse, you're going to accept other people's points of view. Okay? It's just the way it is. I accept people's other points of view, even though I know it's stupid as hell. I know that certain people aren't going to like that, and honestly, I don't care. Because take a look at your own view of something. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. And really, understand one other piece of information, and that is, you're not right. You're not right. So you need to understand that. And what has gone on in this whole situation with firing this, James Damore, basically shows the hand of Google that they are the judge, jury, and executioner of freedom of speech across the internet. They're in cahoots with Facebook and Twitter and they're going to shut down any speech they don't like. Okay? That's just the way it is. Now, when we really look at what is going on, and we look at the whole picture, we see that Trump is not the only one being hated at the moment. Infowars.com is reporting Pyongyang threatens to surround island with intermediate-range ballistic missiles following Trump's warning. So that's on American Liberty Radio podcast. Putting it there now, actually. I never know. Whoops. I never know how people are going to react to the things I say. It's only after I say them that people react. And I think what really drives what really motivates people into being somewhat of a social justice warrior is the lack of understanding they have about the world around them, and more specifically, the lack of understanding about themselves. You know. So, if they disagree with someone, they're going to try to shut down their free speech. And as far as I'm concerned, yeah, not going to happen. So let me go into this direction. Folks, I told you earlier I did a small 30-minute podcast, talked about religions and religious, speaking of which, religious diversity and a specific religion, religious organization here in the country. I talked about that earlier, and I only did a half hour. And because I've been so busy these last several days, I wanted to at least get a new ALRN podcast in for you, but it's only going to be a half hour. So I got 2 minutes left, folks, and I just want you to know that I appreciate your input. Go to Spreaker.com, go to American Liberty Radio, drop in the comment section there. I'm also on YouTube. Check it out there. Wayne Pierce is where you can find it. This show. And just email me, AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com, AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com, and tell me what you think, man. Tell me what's on your mind. Tell me what's happening in your area. That's all. That's all I want to know. You know, so you can also go to AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com, AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. My apologies for having a 30-minute show instead of the full hour. Yeah, I'll have a full hour tomorrow. So whatever I didn't talk about today, I will pick up on tomorrow's show. And join me tomorrow on the American Liberty Radio Network podcast, right here on American Liberty Radio Network on Spreaker and at AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com, and email me at AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com. AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com. Got a lot to talk about tomorrow then, huh? So come and join me on the American Liberty Radio Network podcast right here on American Liberty Radio Network, sharing the truth one fact at a time without all the BS.